Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today, thank you for joining us. If today is your first time of joining us, please click the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell to get notified anytime we drop a new video. Thank you. So now today's tutorial, I'll be drafting 3 types of trendy necklines that are showing on the screen right now. So let's dive into it. For those necklines now, in order not to waste much of our time, I've drafted the full bodies that I'm going to use for the 3 necklines. To draft these 3 necklines, you need to draft a full scale body. That means you have to put your pattern on fold when you are drafting. Okay, for this one, I've not traced it out. So for this now, I've traced out on the other side of the pattern. So I have my full scale bodies here. So this is what I'll be using to draft those necklines. So let's dive right into the tutorial. So for the first neckline now, I'll be using this pattern for the neckline. I want my neck width to be 4 inches wide. So I have it here. Now this is I'm using a princess dart. You can use any dart of your choice, but I just prefer this. So I'm going to cut out the other side. We only need the center front to draft the neckline. So I'm going to cut it out like so. So I've cut out my waist dart, and also don't forget to close your bust dart, but I'm going to put this aside since we don't need it for the tutorial. So this is what I'll be needing for the neckline. Now that I've cut out the center front, this is what I have. And I said the neck width I want is 4 inches wide. That means it will be 8 inches when I open it up. And for the depth of the neck, of the color of the neck, I want it to be, okay, let's go for 6.25. The person is a little bit on the short side, so let's use 6.25 for the neck width. Then I'm going to connect these 2 lines together. So I'm going to connect it. So I want to use a slightly, not totally straight line. So we're going to connect the neck together like this. We're going to have this. So we're going to cut this out. In order to cut out the collar, you know the collar is a 2-step. You can make yours to be 1 step, but for this design I'm going for the 2-step collar. So I'm going to get a fresh pattern paper and place this on it, so we're going to pin it down. After doing this, you can cut out the neckline. Okay, let's cut it out. Now what we are trying to do is we are trying to draw out the collar following the neckline. So you cut out the exact neckline. Is when you are transferring to your fabric that you are going to add the allowances, but right here we don't need any allowance on the pattern. So you cut out the neckline like this. Also you trace out the shoulder. This side has to be very accurate so that the collar will not be longer than the shoulder or the neckline. Okay, so once we have this, now there are 2 ways of doing this. You can trace out the collar on the pattern, on your main pattern, or we can just stick to this other one. So okay, let me cut out this side also. Okay, I'm going to remove my center front now. I will treat this now as my new center front. So this now, I'm going to bring out my tape and measure the width of the collar that I want. You know it's going to be a 2-step collar. So for the first one that is wide, I will go with 2.5. So from the shoulder line like this, I will measure 2.5 here. So I will take it round 2.5. Now for this side now, it will be a little bit wider. So for this side now, we can go for we'll add 1 more inch, it will be 3.5. So for this side I want it to be 3.5. It will be 2.5 here and 3.5 here. Then I will connect the lines together. So this is how this side of the collar is going to look like. And don't forget, you can make it 1 or you can make it 2, but for this particular style they did 2, and I don't want the collar to be too wide. So for the second step of the collar, I'm going to use 1. I don't want the difference to be too much. So for this one now, this is 3.5. Let's divide this into 2. That's 1.75, right? 1.75. So I'm going to connect this for the second step of the collar. So this is going to go for the second step of the collar. So for this other side also, we are going to do the same thing. We use 2 inches, 2.5 here. So we're going to come back here also and we'll measure 2.5 for the big side of the collar, and for the small one we are going to use 1. So also this place I used 3.5. I'm also going to repeat the same thing. I will use 3.5. Now this angle, this opening around the side, it depends on how you want it to be open. If you want it to be not the distance not to be much, you can just place your tape like this. But if you want the distance to be very big, you can just angle your tape anyhow you want it to be. So I'm going to place my tape right here and I will measure 3.5. So the 3.5 stops here. Then also I will connect the lines together. Also 3.5 divided by 2 for the second collar, 1.2, 1.75. This is how the collar is going to look like. Now I'm going to cut it out. Now I can't cut separate one out, because if I cut this out now I have to repeat and cut it on another paper because it's 2-step, right? So I'm just going to cut out the big size. When I'm cutting on the fabric, you cut out the big one first. Then after you're done cutting out, you add your necessary allowances to it. Then you cut out the second one to cut out the you trace out the second one on the pattern and use it and transfer it to your fabric when you are cutting. And also don't forget to add all the necessary allowances. Okay, so this is how the side of the collar, this is how it's going to look like. When we place it on the pattern, you see that because we trace it out from the pattern, it's not longer or shorter than the neckline. So this is what the collar is going to look like. So this side is going to be for the smaller parts of the collar, and this part will be the big size of the collar. So don't forget, when you are tracing it on your fabric, you cut out the big one first, then you trace out this line to cut out the second one. So let's get to the second neckline. Okay, for this other neckline, it's an asymmetric neckline. I want the neck width to be 4 inch, that's 8 inches when I open it, and I want the depth here to be 6.5. When you check the style very well, you notice that on this side of the neck there is a collar that goes into the armhole like this. So this side of the shoulder, we have to cut out this place as a yoke. Then you have to do the tightening around this place. So this is the depth. I want 6.5. I'm going to trace it out like this. So here we are going to do the overbust tightening of 0.5 on both sides. So we'll do the tightening of 0.5. Or before we do the tightening, let's just draft the neck and see how it goes before we do the tightening. So this is my neck width here. So I'm going to connect this place to this line. going to connect it like this. So this goes into the armhole. Now the second, so for this side of the collar now, it's kind of curved, it's not straight. So let's do our curve. Let's just do a rough sketch of the curve. Yeah, we have something like this for the other. Now let me highlight it. This is how the second, this side of the neck is going to be like. So on this side now, there is another collar that enters the armhole here. So we'll do the tightening now, 0.5 on both sides. So this is what we have. And also don't forget, when you are doing tightening, don't forget whatever you take out here to replace it back after the armhole. So the 0.5 in two places, that's 1 inch. Then we draw the armhole. Okay, so this will be my new armhole for the down part. The upper part is still going to be the same thing. So next we are going to do now is we are going to decide the length of the collar we want. So I don't want it to be too wide. Okay, let's do 2 inches again. So I'm going to make the length of the collar to be 2 inches. So this one now, it's the same length all through. So we're going to mark the 2 inches round to the armhole. So we join like so. So this is how the collar is going to be like. So this space now, we are cutting out this space here. So this is going to be the neck space. This is going to, we also cut this one out and replace it back. I have traced out the collar on another pattern paper. This is what I do. Now before I traced it out, I make sure that I cut out this tightening we did around this place, so that I'll be able to get the correct neckline. So I close the tightening, then I'm able to draw out the collar, and here is the result. So you cut a collar, you had your necessary allowances around it, you turn it, you place it on the neckline like this. Then this shoulder also, you are going to join it to this other side of it. So when you cut out, you can either trace it, I mean you can either turn it with your lining or with your facing, it's your choice. So for this other side now, I'm going to be having a princess dart on the other side of the dress. So this is how the neckline is going to look like. I will show you how the result is going to be like. Thank you. So for this neckline, I've drafted out the bodies I need for it. My pattern paper is on fold. So first thing we are going to do is we are going to determine the depth of the neck. So we're going to come here and measure the depth, how deep you want it to be. I think for me 6.5 is okay, so I'll be using 6.5. You make a straight line here. Then next we're going to do overbust tightening. So for the overbust tightening, I'll be using 1/2 inch on both sides. Now don't forget, when you do your overbust tightening, whatever you take out for the tightening, you make sure to return it back here. So I took out 1 inch here. I'm going to measure back the 1 inch after the armhole to draw a new armhole. With this, your measurements will not be shortened. So this will be my new armhole for the down part. So now after I've done this, the next I'm going to do is I'm going to determine the width of the neckline. I'm okay with 4 inches, so I'm going to use 4. Then I will cut out this neckline. We'll just make it like a square neckline at first. So I want to cut out the yoke. this is going to be the yoke. We'll keep it aside. So next thing we are going to do is let's open it up. Okay, better still, let's just cut out and get our center front. Let's cut out the side front and it will only be left with our center front. So this is what I have after cutting it out. This is the center front. We're going to keep this one aside. This is the center front that I need. So when you open it up, we're going to get something like this. So now the next thing we are going to do now, in order to decide the width and the length of the flap, we're going to reduce this. This is 6.5. So we are going to reduce it to about 4 inches. I don't want it to be too wide. So I'm going to reduce it to 4 inches. That's for the height. And also for the width of the flap, I need to reduce it around this area because of I still have to join this to the side front. So in order not to obstruct the joining, I've marked it out here. So we're going to step in by 0.75. So just measure 0.75 up. Cut it out gently. We'll do the same thing for the other side too. So once we're done with that, we're going to make this like a diagonal line. So either fold this one inside or you could just cut it out. But I'll later cut it out. So this is what you fold it on the line. Okay, let's just cut this one out so that it will not confuse us. Just fold this one in like this. So this is what it will look like. I'm loving it already. So by the time you join, you bring the side front to it. Don't forget to close your bust. That is always very important. So by the time you join it, this is what it's going to look like. So this is how it's going to look like. Let's bring the second side. So by the time you put the second side like this and you put the yoke on both sides, okay, this is going to be here and this is going to be here. We're going to have something like this. So thank you for joining us today. We'll be looking forward to see you in our next tutorial. Please give this video a thumbs up, share and comment. Thank you.